Okay, let's journey back in time. Imagine a world of legions, senators, and emperors. A place totally defined by conquest, by civil war, and just raw political power. Yep, we're in ancient Rome.
So, in this incredibly brutal, super high stakes world, philosophy, well, it wasn't some kind of gentle academic hobby. No way. It was a weapon, it was a shield, it was basically a practical guide for getting through life. A life where your fortune, your freedom, maybe even your head could be gone in an instant, all on the whim of a tyrant. This was philosophy for survival, plain and simple.
And, that brings us to the big question we're tackling here. When you're up against these massive, overwhelming forces, we're talking an emperor, an entire army, or maybe even just fate itself, what good is philosophy, really? All right, so our first crack at an answer comes from a pretty unexpected place. Not some serious Stoic sage, but from a poet named Lucretius. And for him, you see, the real tyrant wasn't some guy sitting in a palace. Nope, it was an idea that held pretty much everyone captive. The fear of what the gods might do to you and the sheer terror of death. So what was Lucretius's solution? Well, it was totally radical for its time. He took a page from the philosopher Epicurus and argued that science, could actually conquer fear. He said, let's replace the tyranny of religion with a real understanding of nature. The world isn't being run by some angry gods up in the clouds, it's just atoms and empty space. And your soul, guess what? That's just atoms too. So it's not going to face some eternal punishment in the afterlife, it just disperses. For Lucretius, getting your head around the cosmos was the ultimate way to be free. And this idea, it leads to this incredibly profound conclusion. Think about it. If your soul just dissolves, then death isn't some terrifying thing to dread. It's simply an endless sensation. It's just a long, dreamless sleep. Lucretius figured if you could get rid of that crippling fear of eternal punishment, you could finally live freely right here and right now. Okay, but not everybody was on board with philosophy being about escaping the world's fears. Enter the great statesman Cicero. He basically grabbed philosophy by the scruff of its neck and dragged it right into the middle of Roman politics. For him, philosophy wasn't an escape route at all. It was an absolutely essential tool for public life. And Cicero's mission here was just immense. First off, he basically translated all of Greek philosophy for the Romans, creating the actual words, the vocabulary they would need to even talk about these big ideas. Then he wrote these huge works like Republic and Laws to prove how philosophy could be a roadmap for a just state. But it was also deeply personal for him. After the tragic death of his daughter and being exiled from public life, where did he turn? He turned to philosophy for real personal comfort. For Cicero, philosophy had to be practical. It had to work for the senator in the forum and for the grieving father at home. So that's all well and good, but what happens when the state isn't just? What if the guy in charge is an actual monster? Well, that brings us to Seneca. He was a Stoic philosopher with what had to be one of the most dangerous, high-wire jobs in the entire Roman Empire. He was the tutor and advisor to, you guessed it, the infamous Emperor Nero. Now, the whole point of Stoicism, the philosophy Seneca lived and breathed, is about mastering your inner world. And it's so important to get this right. Stoicism isn't about not feeling stuff like anger or fear. That's not it at all. The passion they were trying to control wasn't the feeling that pops up. It was the conscious choice to just give into it, to let it run the show. The goal was to create this little bit of space between something happening and how you react to it. And in that space, that's where you choose reason. And this is where Seneca's life just becomes this incredible moral drama. The contrast is just so stark, right? Here's a guy writing these beautiful words about mercy, all while serving a tyrant who was, murdering people. He preached that earthly goods were worthless, while he himself amassed a gigantic personal fortune. His life wasn't some textbook example of perfect stoicism, not even close. It was a testament to how unbelievably difficult it is to practice what you preach when you're under that kind of extreme pressure. But here's the thing that makes Seneca so compelling. He knew it. He had this incredible self-awareness. He wasn't some hypocrite who was just blind to his own contradictions. He knew he was falling short. He saw himself not as some perfect wise man who had it all figured out, but more like a patient, someone struggling with the same moral sickness as the rest of us. And that's what makes his philosophy so powerful. It was literally forged in the fire of his own intense moral struggle. Okay, so if Stoicism is really all about mastering your inner self, then your external circumstances, they shouldn't matter, right?
Well, that brings us to the ultimate test case. And this, for me, is the real dramatic heart of this whole story. Two Stoics at the absolute opposite ends of the social ladder.
On one side, you have Epictetus. He was born a slave. He was lamed by his master. Later, he was exiled. This is a man with zero external power, none. Then, on the other side, you have Marcus Aurelius, the Emperor of Rome, literally the most powerful man on the planet. And yet, and this is just astonishing, they were both chasing the exact same thing, using the exact same philosophy: inner peace through mastering the self. Just listen to the power in these words from Epictetus. He says his true self isn't his body, it's his will. It's his ability to choose and to judge things. A tyrant can chain his hands and feet, sure. He can even chop off his head. But he can't touch that inner self, the part that decides how to respond. That, my friends, is the ultimate fortress of freedom. It means nothing on the outside can ever truly harm you.
And then you get the view from the throne. For Marcus Aurelius, Stoicism wasn't really about defiance, it was about perspective. It was a constant reminder that, yeah, his job title was Roman Emperor, but his fundamental identity, he was just a man, a human being. And that perspective, that was his shield against the corruption that comes with absolute power. It guided him to work for the common good, not just for Rome, but for all of humanity.
So let's wrap this up. What's the big takeaway from all these incredible Roman thinkers? They all had to deal with a world of just overwhelming power, but it's the Stoics, from Seneca, the struggling advisor, to Epictetus, the slave, and Marcus Aurelius, the emperor. They all landed on the same practical, powerful conclusion. And here it is, basically the Stoic toolkit in a nutshell. Step 1, control. You've got to draw a hard line in the sand between what you actually control, your thoughts, your judgments, your choices, and everything else. Step 2, acceptance. The stuff you can't change, you have to accept it with tranquility. Don't waste your precious energy fighting reality. And finally, step 3, action. Focus every ounce of your effort on acting with virtue in that little circle of things you do control. And that is the profound, game-changing insight at the very heart of Roman Stoicism. It doesn't matter if you're a slave in chains or an emperor on a golden throne. The challenge is the same, the battleground is the same. It's yourself. All that external power, it's ultimately irrelevant when it comes to inner freedom. So, that leaves us with a question, doesn't it? A question for our own time. Because let's be honest, we also live in an age full of overwhelming forces that feel way beyond our control. So, when you're faced with all that, which of these Roman paths resonates with you? Is it Lucretius's path of using science to conquer fear? Or maybe Cicero's call to step up and engage in public duty? Or is it the Stoic quest for that unconquerable inner self? The choice, as any of these Stoics would tell you, is yours.